Alright, Quideo chapters 5 through 8, and this is going to be for the basic question. Okay, so for the basic question, you are given a set of values of which the profit and the probability of router partner's major investment. And for part A, you are to find the mean profit and the standard deviation of the profit. Okay, for the basic problem A, you'll input the data that you are given into the data table into L1 and L2, and go to one variable stats, hit enter, and then put L1 and L2 after that, of which then you'll hit enter again, and scroll down and find the mean and standard deviation. For part B of the problem, you are to find the mean and standard deviation of y, of which y is given with the equation 0.9x minus 0.2. For part B, you'll use the data that was used for part A, and you will input the equation given into L3, of which you will replace x with L1, and hit enter. And you will then calculate the one variable stats again, and find the mean and standard deviation. And now for the advanced problem, of which an insurance company is estimating an annual profit of $150 and a standard deviation of 6,000 on each policy. For part A, you're essentially just finding reasons that may contribute to a large standard deviation, of which that could be the house size, the benefits, or the amount of land. Alrighty, and for part B, if they only write two of the policies, you are to find the mean and standard deviation of the annual profit. To find the mean of B, you would essentially do 2 times 150, and that equals 300. And for the standard deviation, you would take the square root of the number of policies times the standard deviation squared, of which then you would just input the numbers, and there you go. Alrighty, and C, you're writing 10,000 of the policies, and you're again to find the mean and standard deviation of the annual profit. For part C, you would essentially do the same thing as part B, except that instead of multiplying by 2, you would replace it with 10,000, which then you would input everything, same way you did for B, and that would be the answer. And now for part D, which is the company likely to be profitable? And for part D, the company is likely to be profitable as they continue to make policies, the mean and standard deviation go up, which does increase the profit by a lot. For the AP question, a study was conducted to determine whether a new hitch would be able to reduce draft compared to the standard hitch, and 2 large plots of land were used in the study, of which it was randomly determined which plot was to be plowed using whichever one, and there were 25 points randomly selected. Part A, you were to find the response variable, the treatments, and the experimental units. The response variable was the measured draft at points during plowing. The treatments were the regular hitch and the new hitch. The experimental units were the plots of land to be plowed. For part B, you are to determine whether randomization was used properly in the study and to justify your answer. And for part B, randomization was properly used in the study as the hitches were randomly assigned to their plot, and in addition to that, the 25 points measured were also randomly detected by a machine on the tractor, both of which have no bias towards anything in the study. And now for part C, I am to justify whether or not replication was used properly in the study. Now for part C, replication was not used properly in the study, as it was not specifically stated whether the plots were the same in any regard or of which any replication occurred. For part D, plot of land is a confounding variable in the experiment, and you are to explain why. The reason why the confounding variable is a plot of land is because there is no details given about that land, so you could be plowing 2 completely different plots of land.
Created using Powtoon.